I'm Mike Messier. Welcome to Messier Mantra. This is a show where I introduce you to some special people in my life, artists, visionaries. On this episode, we have a great friend of mine, Raeshelle Cooke. Let's take a look at one of Raeshelle's works. It's called On Her Way, right here on Messier Mantra. You just saw On Her Way here on Messier Mantra. Right now I want to introduce the filmmaker. She's a very special friend of mine. She's a great person. Her name is Raeshelle Cooke. Raeshelle.
Hey, how's it going?
It's good. It's good. How are you?
I'm good, just a little tired.
A little tired? Where are you coming from?
I've just been at school all day and I was out late last night. I've been very irresponsible this year, so, but I'll be okay, so.
Well, you talk about, as a person a couple years younger than me, as a young filmmaker, and we say that because you've already made 5 films, 5 short films, and you and I are good friends, and for the people that don't know, I've read a lot of your screenplays in a writing group, and very, very interesting, personal, unique storylines in your scripts, and you write stories that are very diversified in their subject matter. The first script I read of yours, Zodiacos?
Yeah, Zodiacos.
Right. Had a anime theme.
Yeah, a cartoon series.
Right. And then you wrote some other scripts, and they all had different storylines, and some of them were inspired even by music from the 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I find interesting on your work, just for the audience to kind of know a little bit about what I know about you, is that you're willing to go into these different places in your life, your world, your imagination, and take the reader with you. And what's great about yourself as a screenwriter is that you haven't stopped at being a screenwriter. You've done what is hard for a lot of screenwriters to get over, is to accomplish making their own films.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is a huge accomplishment. I started out only wanting to create an anime series, a cartoon series that's kind of like Avatar: The Last Airbender. I actually didn't want to make short films, and I mean, I don't know if you remember. Remember I told you, I don't want to make short films. I just want to make my cartoon series.
Right.
But you and another gentleman that was there, you guys told me, you should make short films just so that you're more experienced and you know what you're getting into. And I was like, okay, fine. So then I made my first short film, A Sister's Bond, for Campus Movie Fest. Yep. And I was like, wow, this is kind of fun, It was really emotional too, because the stories are based on my real life, and it's like, okay, this is a pretty good outlet for me. And I love to write anyway, so I was like, I think I'm gonna keep going in this direction. I like sharing my stories and my emotions and my thoughts because I don't have another way of doing that. And if I don't do that, I'll probably just go crazy, so.
Well, yeah, and I totally relate to that. And you've made these 5 films. We saw one of them at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
Tell us about the one that we saw today.
Well, so On Her Way was made for Campus Movie Fest. That was the second time I entered, and it actually got picked to screen. It made the festival. So my school, we make, they submit 44 films, and they only pick 16 films to show, and mine were one of the 16. I actually think it was in the top 5 because they screen it in a certain order, I've realized. Yeah. I pay attention to these things, and mine was like the third to last that they screened. So I was like, okay, y'all like my film.
Main event status.
Yeah, so that one was basically based on a true story. The film is about a young woman who's stuck in her house and she's afraid to go outside. Yeah. And it may sound silly, but this is actually something that a lot of people deal with. They're too afraid to go outside. In the film, you see a man that's dressed in all black, basically stalking her. She sees him in the window. And so she has to conquer her fear. She has to go outside and face her fear so that she can live and be happy. And this, of course, is based on a true story. I lived a traumatic life, as a child. Everything's great now, but when my mom took myself and my siblings out of that situation and we lived in our own apartment, I was scared to go outside. I was scared of people because of the things that I've, been through. So I wanted to write about that. And so that's what I did.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a medical condition. I can't remember the name of it, of people that are afraid to leave, but it could also be post-traumatic stress. It could be a few things.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you took on that subject matter. And when people see a film like what we saw here on Messier Mantra, they can say, hey, I've felt like that. Or my friend or my family member, experiences that type of thing. It can be very therapeutic for a film watcher, to relate to a character in a film.
Yeah. And people did come up to me after and say, wow, Raeshelle, I really relate to this film. Like, this was powerful. Like, I have gone through this before. I used to be really shy and I was scared to go outside. You really, tackled the issue. Like, I've had people that really, really loved it. And it was really touching for me that they liked it so much and they were moved like that. And that's why I do these films, to share my experience and see who else has gone through what I've gone through. How can I make connections with people? Like, this is what I do it for. Not the money and the ego and the Hollywood. I do it to have an outlet. I make films when I have something to say. If I don't, I won't make them. And I do it my own way and at my own pace.
That's
and
good.
I just want to make connections with people and share my stories.
What is, and you and I are friends, we joke around about people always think you're younger than you are, but I won't give out your age. I won't give out your age, but you're, let's say you're in your 20s, and in your 20s, you have everything coming up, and what I like about what you're doing is you're already biting into these projects in your 20s in a way that is not just, oh, she has potential, or one day, or that's, already won the awards. And in a very quick amount of time, 2 or 3 years, you've been making films and you've already gotten the attention of our buddy Skip Shea, who had the Shawnee Film Festival in honor of his daughter, and I believe you won Best
Newcomer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which film was involved in that festival?
Monet's Room.
Right. Tell me about that one.
So Monet's Room is also about a young woman who's stuck in her room and she can't get out of her room. I like to do a lot of films about the psyche, you know?
Yeah.
She has inner demons to deal with. She's basically obsessed over an ex that had broken up with her. So the film is narrated by music and spoken word. And that's the first film I believe I've done that's narrated by spoken word. And I'm taking on this style. Like, this will be my signature style, moving forward. So yeah, it's basically based on a true story. It was inspired by Drake and other music like Drake, music like J. Cole. It's basically a tribute to hip hop.
Okay.
Some people think hip hop is ignorant and disrespectful, and it's like, no. A lot of hip hop is very educational, it's intelligent, it's articulate, and it's emotional. I relate a lot to Drake and his music, J. Cole. I really wanted to give a tribute to hip hop by adding hip hop elements, music, things like that to it.
You love music, and I've talked about music extensively. One of your feature-length scripts, the Tokyo Bridge one. What's the title of that one? The full title?
Gosh, it's been so long since I looked at that.
Is it across the Tokyo Bridge or over the Tokyo Bridge?
I don't even remember.
There's so many, but this is a good one. I like. You wrote a script that's a very personal script. I won't give away the details, but you had our screenwriting group. You requested that we look up certain songs, whether it be on YouTube or Pandora, however we found access to these musical choices of popular music that you like and you saw relating to your screenplay. And I went through the process. I enjoyed it. I sat there at the coffee house, of course, and I put on my little earbuds or whatever on my computer, and I YouTubed all these songs and that were noted in the screenplay that you wrote to look up during specific scenes. So it's kind of a multi-faceted multimedia experience, and in the group that we had, the Writers Awakening screenwriting group, it was great because I was able to really see and hear your vision for a story. Now, the funny thing was, if I can tell the story, the funny thing was one of our screenwriting buddies jumped in and said, I didn't listen to the songs, I just read the script. You already did these songs. Did you end up writing material, your own songs after that? Or because I
did write lyrics that were heavily based on the existing songs.
Yeah.
But I wish I don't have to do that, because I kind of like the songs, So
Yeah.
I really wish that I could just use that music because that's my love, that's my passion. So
Yeah, I know what you mean. And the interesting thing is, if you continue on this path as a young, I keep saying young, as a filmmaker, you will get to that point where these artists, these musicians, and their ASCAP rights will want to come to you and have their music in your movie.
wow, that's pretty big and bold. A lot of people, some people come up to me or people that know me personally. They're like, you're gonna be big. You have a big future. And sometimes I'm like, wow, thank you. And then when I go to my house or my room, because that's where a lot of these scripts come up, my little room, I think to myself, well, is my style marketable? Is Monet's room marketable? I don't know. I just, I really hope and wish and just pray that, the more I continue to make these films and put them out to festivals, that people will see it and will like it. But I do have that little voice like, is it marketable? Is there something I can contribute to this field, to this film field?
Well, I think you already are, in my opinion. If I could just jump in and not to step on your words, keep going, because I'm thinking, you got me thinking now, but keep going.
Yeah, because, and I know, when people ask me what do I want to do, they expect me to say I want to be a film director. But as you said earlier, I am already a film director, so I don't want to say that.
Right.
I want more abstract things, cliche things. So I never really. I do have a business, RMC Pictures, film production company. I do make my own short films. I produce them, I write and direct. And I am trying to be an entrepreneur and get this business off the ground. But at the same time, I'm like, well, is this a field that I can contribute to? Is this something that's marketable, my style? Because I'm not going to change my style.
Right.
I've had one person, I submitted Monet's Room to a screening program. He was like, oh, you need to get rid of the swear words, or you need to make this shorter. It's, I believe, 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no.
That's my film.
No, it's absolutely not, or they don't get it, or they don't like the music, or, it's not like a lot of other films. So, but I'm not going to stop,
Critics are often people who have been criticized themselves so much that now all they know how to do is criticize other people. And it doesn't mean that, like Roger Ebert, Gene Siskel, you have some famous critics who are highly educated and really have a passion for film or for art or other mediums that really know what they're talking about. But now, in this generation, anyone with a WordPress account website can criticize anything. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So one of my thought for you, Raeshelle, is that some of the people that you're going to encounter and that I encounter may not know what they're talking about. They really don't. I mean, if they see your film and it's like they see something that they like, but then they want to deconstruct it and tell you to change the music and so on and so forth, it's their right to say that, but it's your right to not listen to them. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because ultimately you're the artist, and their opinion, even if it keeps you out of a film festival that they're sponsoring, well, there's a lot of film festivals, and you've already achieved getting into some of them and winning awards, which is great.
Yeah, that is great.
You won one that we were talking about off camera, that you won a, was it a genre blend?
Best genre blend.
Talk about that, because that's an interesting award to win. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. It's from Stories by the River Film Festival. It was back in January. And they basically, Best Genre Blend was for the fact that Monet's Room used music and spoken word together.
Yes.
And I've gotten this a couple times. They're like, oh, it kind of reminded us of Spike Lee's film, sure, Poetic Justice, which I actually need to see.
Well, you know what? I think Poetic Justice was, I want to say it was John Singleton, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Poetic Justice?
Poetic was Janet Jackson and Janet Jackson and Tupac, because they used the music, they used the poetry from Maya Angelou
Yeah.
I don't think it was Spike Lee. Spike Lee.
Someone told me Spike Lee. I'm like, oh, Spike Lee made Poetic Justice as well.
Spike Lee made Crooklyn. He made She's Gotta Have It, Do the Right Thing. Mm-hmm. I'm a big Spike Lee fan, and he and Robert Rodriguez, who did Desperado and El Mariachi. Mm-hmm. And I was reading a book last night, an autobiography by Edward Burns, who did The Brothers McMullen, and then you've got Tarantino, of course, who was a Red Dog. But all these guys in kind of the early 90s, like the early to mid 90s, had this little mini film revolution, of independent guys.
Yeah.
And, I want to say, and women, but you know what? I'll be honest, I can't name the women in that group of that time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not to say that there wasn't, but I just don't know. So now, 20-something years later, it's Raeshelle Cooke's turn. And I want to encourage you, as your friend and someone who enjoys your work, to keep pushing forward, with your voice, because I don't think you should change your films to accommodate, and the question, it almost scares me to hear you say it, is it marketable? Oh, where did that come from? Because that didn't come from you, that came from somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we all get faced that. And I've heard that so many times with my writings or whatever. Is it marketable? Can we, And the reality is, I think people are sick of marketable stuff.
I know I am. Seriously.
And it seems that things that get shoehorned into marketability often flop, and a lot of money gets put into these big budget Transformer 4 or whatever productions, and then there's no heart and soul to it. Because whatever heart and soul was once seen by the writer or by a director has been squashed and homogenized by some type of groupthink. Yeah. And let's not offend. Let's not. Let's get the toy account. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many considerations that the visionary of a filmmaker like yourself is going to get watered down. So I'd say stay true to yourself.
Yeah, I absolutely will. There's no doubt about that. If it's one thing I'm good at, it's definitely staying true to myself and voicing my opinions. I mean, another thing that I like to do with my films, I like to have a lot of Black female leads.
Yes.
Now, I work with everyone, Black women, white women, Hispanic, Asian, everyone. Men, too, of course.
Yeah.
So I don't want people to misunderstand me when I say that. And there was a point where I felt like someone did misunderstand me when I said that. It's like sometimes I just feel like people don't want to see Black people, specifically Black women, win. I'm here to encourage showing Black women in film and the media in a positive light, in an intelligent and articulate, deep, light, like more than just one-dimensional. There are several layers and sides to us. I know there's several layers and sides to me in my life, and I'm showing that on the screen. We're not just, some Black woman that's working on the side of a white president who's married, being a side chick to him. We're not there to be like these angry Black women that's weak and over-sexual and don't have worth. And that's how I see a lot of the roles portrayed on TV. Of course, television is more diversified now. You have shows like Empire, Kerry Washington. But I don't agree with those shows. I don't agree with how Blacks are portrayed and Black women. And so I'm trying to change that. So
good. I think... I'm not familiar. The Empire show, is that a show that you find disingenuous? It's not. You don't like that show?
I feel like that show negatively represents Black people as a whole. I just feel like it stereotypes us. You have the ex-drug dealer turned hip-hop mogul.
Right.
Who had the ex-wife or whatever she is named Cookie. Ex-prostitute named Cookie, loud, boisterous, and that's on the Fox network.
Yeah.
It's surprising, shocking,
right.
And that's why I feel the show is very popular, because people see Black people in their place. It's safe. Yeah. Yes, we can like this, we can make this popular. It's negative. I don't agree with that.
It's a very interesting conversation. How do you feel about the actors who take on these roles? Do you think that they're selling out or discounting themselves, or do they believe in the? I mean, I don't know.
I don't want them to see this interview.
I'll never work for Raeshelle Cooke.
I know.
Or Messier. I won't put you on the spot like that, but I feel that it's a great conversation because there is, and we're going to have to continue our talk on the next episode. We're going to have you on for another episode. What the conversation goes to is all these different places. You know, do we find fault with the writers, the directors, the producers, the actors for taking on these roles? Are the actors in a spot where they don't have any choices to choose from? So they want to make the best work they can out of that material. But as we come to the end of this episode, and I'm so glad you're coming back for another episode. You have so much more to say. Is there a mantra? You know, we have about a minute and a half left. Is there a mantra you want to share with our audience as we come to the end of this episode?
Yeah, well, I'm all about just living life to the fullest and being happy and being free. As I said before, I don't know what to say when someone asks me, what do I want to be? You know, I don't really like that question. They're, oh, do you want to be a director? It's like, I am a director, and I still feel incomplete. Being a director, I just do that. You know, it's like a side thing to make myself, you know, it's an outlet, you know? I don't have to work in Hollywood. I'm fine, you know?
Yeah.
I want freedom. I want happiness. Of course, happiness is within us. You just have to find it, and that's what I want to do. I want to find it. I want a peace of mind. You know, I've had a lot of experiences and a lot of things that are inside of me that you see in my films, and I'm trying to overcome a lot inside of me. I want to travel. I'm hiking a lot lately. I went to Adams Farm. I'm involved in photography. I'm going to the New York Comic-Con soon, Boston Comic-Con. Like, that's what I want to do. When they ask me, like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. Happy, free, and have fun.
Well, we're gonna introduce you to more people through the Messier Mantra and have you on a second episode. So thank you so much, Raeshelle Cooke, and for our audience, we're gonna have you back on another episode.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Raeshelle. Thanks for watching this episode of Messier Mantra. I'm your host, Mike Messier. I want to thank Raeshelle Cooke, our guest, and we'll see her again on our next episode. Thanks for watching Messier Mantra.